This next video is about dealing with equipment problems in the field, some of the things that will arise while you're out in the field. First thing to do is just take a deep breath and stay calm. That's the most important thing, and because it can be stressful when the equipment is not working and you have a customer that wants the job done. I know from experience that this is not pleasant. The main thing to do is just relax, make sure you've checked everything is hooked up properly, and if you can't sort the problem, give the office a call. Breakdowns will happen, it's unavoidable. The technology that we work with in carpet cleaning is not like Toyotas. You can't just get year after year of flawless, reliable service. The machines have wearing, working parts that do a tough job. We use the most reliable stuff we can get our hands on, but that does not mean you will not have breakdown problems. They will occur, that is unavoidable. There are various things we can do to ensure, however, that these problems are minimised. Minimising problems in the field involves a few simple but important things. Number one, if anything starts to leak, report it straight away. Often a trigger may develop a tiny drip or a hose connector or a drip under the machine, which left unattended will get worse and result in a breakdown. This is very important. Also, keeping your gear clean is very important. Washing out the machine at least once a day, giving it a wipe down daily. You should have a cloth particularly for this purpose. This does improve with maintenance. If something breaks down, what to do? Let us know straight away. Describing the problem in detail is important. For example, if the machine is cutting the power out, we would need to know when it's cutting the power out. For example, when you select a given vacuum button, or when you press the pump, when you plug the power point in. When you plug into the machine. It's also important to make sure the power is getting to the machine. Sometimes extension leads do break, they do go. So you can plug in something else to make sure there's power. You can check the power box, try a different power point. Also make sure the heater switch is off, as this will immobilise the other switches when it's turned on. Not all machines have connected heater switches. But if yours does, generally you would only use it to keep the water warm or to heat up cold water. You can't use the heater while operating the machine, it draws too much power, and most machines are wired to actually shut down the other buttons when the heater switch is on. One of the most common problems faced in the field is blocked jets. When operating the wand, it is essential that the jets spray evenly and properly. When you get a blockage in a jet, it could be a grain of sand for example, it will cause problems and result in a streaky result when you do your passes. It's important to use a piece of paper to slide across the jet if this happens to remove the streaking problem. Also, heavy pre-sprays are important if you do have this problem, and they're very important anyway. The problem with block jets often occurs because of using the same bucket for clean water in the solution tank and for emptying dirty water for the recovery tank. Don't do it even if you're rinsing the bucket. Small grains of sand will get through and cause problems with your wand. It's very difficult to operate with partially blocked jets, and eventually they'll block entirely and result in your wand being completely useless. I've seen this many times. It's not cool. It will affect your work quality and will affect the time it takes to get a good result. So don't use the same bucket for your recovery dirty water and for your solution water. It's also important to carry around a set of spanners or a couple of shifters and screwdrivers so that if necessary you can take off the jet and give it a proper clean by blowing into it, using a pin to scrape across the front of the jet, being careful not to damage the face of the jet when using a pin, or carefully putting the pin into the back of the jet to dislodge whatever is blocking it. So you can either get the jet right up and blow into the front of the jet, scraping across the front with a pin or a piece of paper, and also using a pin into the back of the jet to dislodge whatever's blocking it. Upholstery wand and carpet wand triggers I'll talk about next. One of the most common problems in the field is these partially blocked or partially blocked jets and leaking triggers. Triggers have a lifespan of about 6 months to 2 years, depending on how heavily they're used and the pressure used and that particular model of trigger. They generally go by the O-ring seals wearing out, and they start with a drip that will gradually increase. That is why it is important to advise us as soon as it starts to drip. It is a quick and easy replacement, and you can do this in about 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the model of trigger and your mechanical aptitude. Another common problem in the field is vac motors blowing. Generally they have a lifespan of about 1 to 2 years, and depending on the level of use and whether they're flooded with any water during the course of their life. Normally vac motors go because the brushes in them run out of steam. They wear to the base of the brush as they spin, and then they finally go. Normally prior to that they'll start to emit a bit of a whine as they wear down to the end of the brush. When a vac motor goes, it usually will just sort of stop working, might have a bit of a pop. It often makes a bit of a burning smell as the motor stops operating. Perfectly normal, does happen. Motors are about a 10 to 15 minute changeover job, not a very difficult task. Depending on the model of machine, they're either held on with 3 springs or 3 bolts. Another good reason not to bang the machines around is the motors can become dislodged if the machine is dropped heavily. If a vacuum motor goes, it may start shorting the power also. If in the field and the vac motor goes, the job still can be completed. Just turn the pressure down a bit, run with just 1 vac motor, and do an extra vac pass as necessary. It will take slightly longer to finish the job, but it's usually more important just to get the job finished. Vac motors should be replaced as soon as possible. Sometimes a few jobs need to be done on one vacuum. It's often the case just to finish the day out or until the replacement can be organised. Next one I'll talk about is pumps, and I'll do that on the next video.